Well, hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 10th round of the DRS F1, and we're coming to you from Qatar today. This track still is originally a MotoGP venue, recently became an F1 venue a couple of years ago, and yeah, it was obviously we've had some interesting races with some interesting mandatory rules by Pirelli, but yeah, it's I mean, to drive, it's one of my favourites. To an extent, there's some dodgy parts, but I do quite like this track. So, as you can see in the bottom there, it'll be a short qualifying session, one 18-minute session to decide the grid, followed by a 50% 29-lap race. So, just tell everyone about how we are live here on Twitch. I cannot see the viewer list for some reason, but I know there's at least 3 of you watching. So, let's break down last week's race, shall we? At least in terms of results and driver standings. So, following last week's race in China, where Frosty took the win, their second of the season, and yeah, basically, we got Senna still on top of the championship by 13 points. However, 74 points back to Jack Daniels in 3rd place, and I think Jack Daniels is going to need a lot of fortune to go their direction tonight if they're going to be still in the championship hunt by the end of racing this evening. The rest of the top 5 looking very close between Blunt Blade, Dan Morris, Simon, who is not here with us this evening, and, well, to be fair, the battle for the top 8, yeah, mostly everyone who races full time has still got a good opportunity to win, or not win, but to gain places in the overall standings. We've got Blunt Blade 4th, Dan Morris 5th, 14 points separating them. Then we've got between 5th and 6th with Morris and Syme, there's only 2 points separating them. Another 3 back to Smuggit, and another 3 back then to Centra Finley, and 1 back to Lord Coleman. Have a quick look into teams as the qualifying session is about to begin. Mercedes are on top by 14 points, which they're ahead of Williams, who now have a permanent second driver in Kessler. Alpine are 3rd with Haas and Racing Bulls rounding out the top 5. Looking to Pro real quick. 10 points separating Senna and Frosty in the Pro standings. 66 separating Senna and Jack Daniels in 3rd. Again, I think Jack Daniels is going to need a lot of misfortune for Senna and Frosty this evening if they're going to have a chance of any sort of championship this season. And very, very briefly, just as people start coming out of the pit lane, we'll look into Pro-Am. It is 16 points separating first and second. However, we have two drivers tied on points for second. Dan Morris, we've got Finley on top with 120 points. Dan Morrison second with 104. King Kong also with 104 in third. But it looks like Dan Morris holds on countback with 3 wins compared to King Kong's 1. So there's everyone coming out for an outlap. Let's get our track map up. Let's have a look. Who is just starting a flying lap? It looks like it's... we'll go on board with Kessler, I think. Let me just get all my things set up. Get rid of the tyre. Don't need that just yet. So let's look at the Williams coming to the end of the first sector. They're purple, but I believe that's just because they're the first person to set a sector time there. It's a yellow flag. I think that's just the Sauber's slowing down to give his teammate a little bit of a tow. As we can see, number 3 Kessler here. Coming up to the triple right-hander here. There's another purple sector, but we don't have anything to compare it to just yet. Exit. Oh, and they invalidate just on the exit of the triple right. So we'll go to the car behind, which looks like it's not Finley. It is... I can't tell because I believe that was Coleman. There comes Coleman to start a lap. So let's look maybe at... not Sainsy, we'll look at Blunt Blade maybe, who is coming through the triple right. Manages to keep it clean into the penultimate corner. His teammate Michael has just set a 26.1 for the first lap of the session. Frosty looks like they're just starting their first flying lap of the session. Here comes Blunt Blade to go pole position by 3 seconds almost. Well, actually, yeah, 3.1 seconds. Then we're going to go to Smug Git, who goes even quicker with a 22.3. And now we should be looking at Jax Daniels, maybe? Nope, they've invalidated. Project Tide goes up to second place, 3/10 off of Smug Git. Let's have a look. And Senna, wow, with 21.8. Now let's have a look at where Frosty is on their lap. We'll go on board with the Haas driver here, using every inch of the racetrack through this little middle sector here. Little hairpin type corner here. The long little curve, just a short straight, and then into the triple right. There's one. Straighten out a little. So there's 2. Straighten out a little again. 3. What? Swing it, and then back to the right hand side to go to the left. Back over to the left hand side to turn into the final right hander here. And then onto the start finish straight. DRS board will be there just a second. There we go. Frosty 21.9 just settles in behind Senna 17. So let's have a look who is. Look at Finley in the Alpine. Obviously we saw the real life Alpine team celebrate the final round as with Renault as an engine constructor. Obviously Renault was a bit wide for Finley there. Renault being quite well, powering a few big drivers to their championships or constructors championships. I think the likes of teams as Finley goes up to 4th, the likes of teams likes of Benetton, obviously Renault themselves, Red Bull were with Renault briefly when not Verstappen, Vettel had won his championships. So let's have a look. Does anybody seem to be on a lap? Look at Dan Morrison, 14th, who's invalidated. Maybe Kessler, who's on going through the first sector. Move to an outside view now. And they've now invalidated the time, so we're going to look at Jax Daniels maybe. In the Kicksauber, also had a bit of a sad final round to the season as they become Audi next season. Obviously there'll be the team being fully bought out by Audi, it means that we're not going to see the Sauber name, as Jax Daniels has a bit of a slide for the airpin there, but he's probably going to have to stay committed into it to get a lap on the board. But no, as I was just saying, you know, Peter Sauber is no longer going to have control over the team as of next season. And feels a bit sad because it basically means I don't think we have any kind of proper family kind of teams in F1 anymore. You know, none of the privateers of old are still kind of private in a way. You know, you think Williams are now no longer owned by the Williams family. Is it the Railtons still own it, I think? As Jax Daniels sets the new personal best of the session, the new fastest lap, only by about 100th or so. But that was a really good lap from the Kicksauber driver. Now, let is... Oh dear God. Don't worry, it's nothing to do with the race, what I've just said there. I've just had a message off someone. So, let's see who's doing what. I think see Daniel Morris up to 5th place now, so at least Kessler's the only driver not to set a valid lap time. And the Williams has come into the pits. I think they've used, yeah, it looks like there was more fuel prohibiting their final run on these tyres. As Senna goes for another attempt, let's go on board. Using every inch of the start finish straight there. Riding the white line down the straight into turn 1. Looking very tidy. Looking very tidy through turn 2 as well. Holding it to the right hand side as he goes through 3. They got the racing balls getting out of the way as he uses all the curb on the entry and through the mid corner as well. Let's see what the sector times flash up. There's no purple, which is interesting. Up to the little midsection here now. Now this section is quite difficult, it's quite technical. You've got to be absolutely precise to not lose time. As we come up round the long corner here. There's a purple middle sector there, up by 2/10. And he's very clean through the triple right. He drops a gear for the final one. Drops a gear for the penultimate corner as well. And into the final corner. Breaks it rough just after the 50 it looked like. Using all the curb on the exit over the white lines. Just tries to avoid the DRS boards. And improves by 0.4 of a second. Now let's have a look where everyone else is in terms of track position. Is anybody having a go? Look at Frosty, who's up by 200ths there. since we last looked. Lost them 200s now, according to the little timer at the top there. Using a bit of battery on the little short straight between the penultimate and the final corner. Oh, right, using every bit of track limits possible to only improve by 400s. Let's have a look at Easy Life there. Using every bit of battery to go ahead of Michael. Let's take a look at Kessler. They've invalidated the out lap. Now they've got to be careful because there's 5 minutes left in the session. If they want to get one more run in, it's going to have to be basically in, out, in, out. Once they've done this run. Also, they need to get a valid lap time on the board. That's probably more crucial than whether they get another run in or not. Smug get up to second with a 21.7. It's looking a bit more steady from Kessler here, just trying to get the lap in more than focus on overall pace, I think. You can hear the tires squealing, kind of in a bit of protest almost. As we come up to the triple rights. Looking good so far. A little bit wide on the second one. Looks a bit better on the last one. Nope, we're going to drop a gear instead. Up to the final corner. Bit of an understiff in mid corner, but at least they're going to get a valid lap in. It's up to 11th for Kessler with a 23.0. Let's have a look, see who's looking to. But Jax Daniels is, yep, oh no, he's aborting into the pits. Same for Smug Git. Let's look at King Kong, who's going to start a lap here with in the Mercedes. As I mentioned, the results are going to be crucial for the Mercedes in the next few rounds. Obviously, they're tied on points for second in Pro-Am at the moment. So every point, just like we saw this Sunday just gone at the real life Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, every point can be crucial in these dying rounds of the championship. So we see some of our top contenders are going to be going out for one last run here. Now I saw a purple middle sector from King Kong here. This could be a good lap. A little bit of track control cutting in for the final corner. I don't know if that's just my. As it goes up to 8th. Just decent lap. Let's have a look. That's Project Thai in the other Kick Sauber. About to start their final flying lap, potentially, of the session. As a Williams gets out of the way for the Sauber driver there. you know, with the gaps between the corners, not very much. There's no real long straights until you get to the start-finish line, so basically if you need to get out the way, it's quite difficult. And especially if you are on the lap, you can't really divert off the line, because the ideal line here is quite necessary for a good time. I mean, it's necessary wherever you go, but it's probably the most crucial, well, apart from maybe Monaco or something. As Senna improves again. But yeah, as I was saying, it's probably one of the few tracks where you can't really use any alternate lines. As Ty is finished their final lap there, staying 6th place. Let's look at Dan Morris in the McLaren there. The now, well, yeah, because I say the double champion McLaren in real life, as he invalidates the time. Let's have a look at Frosty coming through the final sector here. Someone's been through the advertising boards for the braking mat area there. Looks like it's not made much of a difference. Maybe it has. Only 4,000 separating Frosty and Jax Daniels between 3rd and 4th. Jax Daniels is still on a lap here. Going around the final corner. As Jax Daniels takes pole at the last second there. But let's have a look at where Smugget is. Can Smugget do anything in the battle for pole? He's got a bit of a toe down, start finish straight, only 3rd. And Senna has, well, he did his lap a bit early than what Jax Daniels and the rest did. So now I just believe we're waiting on Senna to be loaded into the garage, and then we shall have a result rundown. I'd appreciate if my controller stopped vibrating. So there we go, Jax Daniels on pole position, an important pole position made for the Kickstarter driver. Senna's also on the front row with him, Smugget, Frosty, and Dan Morris in the top 5. And just finish off the top 10, Project Ty, Coleman, Finley, King Kong and Michael. Right, let's have a bit of a look at what So now we wait for the drivers to have a look at their strategies, and I know this track can be known for high tyre wear. Obviously, lots of corners, and well, not really much time for the tyres to take a breath, take a rest. Got there in the end, ladies and gentlemen. I notice we have 4 viewers on Twitch. Hello to everyone. One of those might be me having to watch everything just to make sure audio is not good. So, hopefully everything sounds alright to you, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like, what's his name? John McDonald from the darts. He just says, ladies and gentlemen, every 5 seconds because he needs to get it in. I don't know how much we can talk about while we're waiting. Obviously, Cadillac is ramping up their preparations for 2026 as well. Over on the topic of new teams, oh yeah, the potential well, I don't know if it's a retirement or resignation. I don't know what's going to happen with it. But it's rumours of Helmut Marko leaving Red Bull Racing, which will be interesting. I mean, might make things better for Red Bull, you know, when you haven't got the stubborn old Austrian bastard making all decisions, but I'm not going to comment further. Don't get me wrong, they've had great success under his management, if you can consider it that. Anyway, my conversation gets interrupted as we start the formation lap. And let me open up tyre details for you. Seems hard seem to be the majority choice for the grid. Let's hide that. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the hards, 6 on the medium, 1 on the soft. What I'm going to be interested is, Frosty is going the opposite direction of his championship rival Senna. Now, we saw how their strategies made the difference last week, but that was a 100% race where the strategy can make or break the race. I mean, it can break the race in a 50% because we don't have as many laps. But you gotta bear in mind, the tyres do degrade slightly quicker than they would in a 100%er. That is just how the way Codemasters work the F1 tyre model, which, you know, yeah, that's something I don't mind. I just wish it wasn't as aggressive sometimes because, oh my god, it feels so bad when you do, like, I can't remember what I was doing the other day, but oh no, I remember what I was doing. I was just messing about on Miami, and I think I was on the default setup, and the tires were getting to like 80% in like 15 laps. Bear in mind, I was on 50% as well. Anyways, the drivers are coming up to the grid now. We'll look at Easy Life as they start the approach to their grid slot. Smugget looks like he went a bit too far beyond his little yellow line for the grid marking. I don't know why we can hear cars sound like they're racing round, but anyway, we're on the grid now. Here we go. Let's move attention back to the front. The lights are on and they are out, and we are away for the Qatar Grand Prix. As Jax Daniels has had an amazing start right there, and it looks like Frosty's gonna. Well, he looked to have a go. We've got Dan Morris going wide in the McLaren. It looks like Frosty's going for P3 around the outside for P in turn 2. My brain is not keeping up with me here. As Jax Daniels is just absolutely sent it off the start. He's got over half a second as they come through the first sector. As he makes a mistake at the hairpin, and Senna now takes the lead, and Frosty also gets ahead. Smugget also making it up the inside. So I didn't catch what happened to the Sauber there, but that must have been a bit of a slide, I take it, on the exit, or just a really dodgy hairpin. Anyway, Senna, the championship leader, now leading the race by 0.3 of a second as they come through the triple rights for the first time with 29. And they're just about to finish this first lap. As we see possible race strategies, I don't think I'm going to have time to cover them, but you can see the hard to the medium seems to be the option on about lap 16 maybe. As Dan Morris has a slide through the final corner. Manages to save it. Senna will take the fastest lap, but that's just because he is the first across the line. All the way across the track to defend from Frosty. Frosty looking around the outside of turn 1. It looks like the move has been made. Cracking job from the harsh driver right there. As they come through turn 1 into turn 2. And now Frosty's using the extra grip of the mediums to his advantage. Smugget is trying to have a look up the inside of Senna, but nothing coming of it. And has Jax Daniels managed to recover from that mistake on the first lap? It seems they have. The Senna's got to be careful. He is rapidly losing that little DRS margin he needs to have a chance of overtaking Frosty again. And this is possibly not the most ideal start if he wants to extend the championship lead going into Abu Dhabi next week. Through the triple right, it seems Senna seems to be gaining again, so I think it's probably just a very tight and twisty sector where Senna's car does not prefer it. He's going to have DRS, but he's not going to be close enough to make any moves, I don't think. As we see, everyone's still fairly close together after the first 2 laps here. Not much of a field spread, except maybe when we see Michael and Project Ty making a bit of a battle into turn 1. Excuse me. Anyway, let's have a look at this little midfield battle here for 7th place. It seems Senna has now lost that DRS gap to Frosty. Let's go back to the front. Because look at where Smugget is. Only about half a second behind. That is an attack range, I'd say. If the gaps stay like this as they come past that final detection point, well, the only detection point on the circuit, because we only have one DRS zone, Machi might just recover there, I think, Senna. As the detection point will be just after this corner here. Yep, Senna will be safe from attack this time. Well, he's going to have a bit of DRS on Frosty as his teammate Kessler gets the first 3-second penalty of the race. And I wonder... I do wonder what could happen to Senna if he does eventually lose the DRS. Frosty was a bit wide on the exit of the little hairpin there. There's almost like a little switchback hairpin type thing. You kind of go through the tighter hairpin, then you got the more open hairpin. I don't think Senna's gonna, unless he absolutely, I don't know. He's gonna have to pull a couple tenths through this little sector here. As Frosty goes very wide through the penultimate corner. Might open up opportunities. Senna has a bit of a slide off the final corner. He's gonna have DRS anyways, but let's have a look in the background because Jack Downs is having to look. He went down a bit of a look around the outside of Smug Git, but nothing coming of it there. And I think I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. I've been up since 7 o'clock this morning with university, but Smokey kind of making that Ferrari as wide as possible, not letting the Kicksauber have an easy move. As Senna seems to be, he's gained a lot than he usually does, so we may have a change for the lead at the end of at the start of the next lap. And he's got the safe margin behind, so Smug Git won't get the DRS this time. We'll keep an eye on both battles, see if the move gets made for P3. I think it will. Jack Daniels round up the inside, back in front, and Jack Senna's up to P3. But I've noticed there, Senna is as close. This is as close Senna's been to Frosty in a few laps. Let's have a quick look at something before we come back to the race. There we go. And yes, there's this other medium starting to come away from Frosty. It might be because Jack Downs has also bridged the gap. But he goes wide on that penultimate corner. He's still going to have DRS, but he'll have lost time and maybe got a track limits warning for running wide there. Dan Morris peels into the pits, the first driver to come in, looking to get off the medium tyres. Frosty looks to the inside to defend. Senna's not going to have the opportunity this time. Has a bit of a slide through turn 1. But look, that bright green and black Kicksauber right behind them, chasing them down. You probably think, you might, one might be, I don't know what I was trying to say then. One might think he was saving his tyres when stuck behind Smug Git for a couple laps. So it might be interesting to see which of these hard runners has got the most pace. So let's see, what does Frosty do? Frosty will stay out this time. Going to be under attack from the Williams once again. So come towards turn 1. Senna's looking to the inside this time. They're side by side. Looks like there's a bit of rubbing, but I think they're both safely through. Oh, there's a bit of contact on the exit. Still side by side through turn 2. And Jax Daniels must be loving the sight of this. Let's go on board with the kicks out here, because this must be an entertaining battle to watch. It takes a bit more curve than I usually would there. I wonder, is Frosty starting to struggle with the medium tyre? Hopefully this is going to be a better week for Jax Daniels. If you were here with us last week, they didn't have the best of rounds. I think just seems China was not their track, as he has a bit of a slide on the exit curve there. Still within distance, which is probably what he wants right now. Using all the track available to him as Frosty gets a 3-second time penalty. That means for track length, I think it's probably a bit too much of the inside. As the Haas is going to stay out the pit. Does he have DRS? He will. But what about battery? Because Jax Daniels is on the deploy. Looks to the inside. Up the inside for turn 1. Bit of a barge between axles, but it looks like Jax Daniels has managed to successfully take P2. And now, I think Jax Daniels is going to go hunting for Senna, I reckon. Let's see. Now I'm quite surprised. The first person we saw coming to the pits was Daniel Morris, who's gone from medium to hard. But Michael has managed to get softs to lap 8, well, to at least lap 9, should I say. As it comes down the start finish straight to complete the 9th lap of this race. We're gonna have 20 to go here. And just as I expected, Michael has come into the pits to get off the soft tyres. He's going to fall behind Daniel Morris in doing so. Let's see what they go on to. Set of mediums, which is interesting. I'm not sure if you're going to get 20 laps out of mediums, but fair play if they do. But we're going to keep an eye on the lead battle, should I say. As Jax Daniels is he's going absolutely hell for leather here, trying to hunt down the Williams of Senna in front of him. He might have an opportunity this time. He's got no. Frosty's too far behind to mount a threat on Jax Daniels, and he's within half a second come off the final corner. Let's go on board actually. Let's see if this move is going to get made. Looks to the inside. And that is as good a move you can have at turn 1 at Bahrain, as we see Smug and Finley into the pit. Michael gets a 3-second time penalty. while they do that, Lord Coleman also into the pits. It's going to be an Alpine double stack if they're not careful. This seems to be a race of kind of swings and roundabouts, I say. Someone has the advantage, and about 3 laps later, another person will have the advantage, so... This is going to be an interesting race with the next 19 or so laps. Let's go back to the outside view. Whoa, bit of a moment for Senna on the curbs. And he's sliding coming off the final corner. Is this the Williams tyres coming away from them? Still managed to keep the DRS and managed to gain on Jack Daniels down the main straight there. As these two have absolutely left Frosty in the dust there. 2.3 separating Senna and Frosty. But you look at the gap behind them. There's probably at least 15 seconds separating Jack Daniels and his teammate Project Ty. Are we seeing an Alonso style drive from Project to give Jack Daniels the opportunity to pit and still keep some clean air? I'm not suggesting anything, but looking at what's happening through the field, it's a possibility. As Jack Daniels goes wide through the triple rights here, he's lost a bit of time to Senna. Senna now gets the 3-second time penalty himself. Well, and he goes a bit wide off the final corner as well. He's gonna possibly keep DRS here. Looks like Daniel Morris has had a spin in the middle sector. We'll probably see the McLaren turning around. Oh, get going again. There we go. Kessler getting a penalty as well. Frosty comes in. King Kong also in. Frosty onto some hard tyres. Now, if I remember the projected strategy right, I think we're going to see Jack Daniels and Senna go in about 3 laps time. Speaking of them two, it looks like the gap, I don't know, it's again, like I said, it goes one way and then it goes the other. Is Daniel Morris back in for some new mediums? Potentially picked up some wing damage in that instant just then. But I think Jack Daniels has broken Senna. Senna will not be a threat because he will not have DRS this time. Both still staying out. Now we need to look behind. Let's put the gap to leader up there. 30 seconds. Now let me just do a bit of a Google search. I don't know, I can't find any more. Just trying to find like what's the average pit stop timing from entry to exit, but Google ain't being me best mate today. as Daniel Morris gets a time penalty as well. It seems Senna has lost a bit of time since we last, well, I was last fully focused on the gap there. But I'm going to just go down the field for a second. See Bluntblade hunting down Project Ty. I'm going to follow that battle down the start-finish straight in a moment. As Bluntblade goes a bit wide on the exit. Hopefully they can make that a bit more tidy. No move. It's quite interesting. It looked like they had a bit of a overspeed compared to the Sauber, but it is an odd decision. I'm going to put that gap to leader back on because we need to see, is Frosty gaining on the leading pair? He has a little bit. Daniel Morris with the fastest lap of the race with 24.883. But we're going to keep an eye on Frosty's gap to P1. It's currently 28.2. The tyres should be up to temperature and in a position where he should be gaining. It doesn't seem to be just yet. And now we should surely see the pass from Bluntblade into turn 1. Oh, I did not mean to get rid of the leaderboard there. Yep, as predicted, Bluntblade takes P3 on the road. As we see Easy Life come into the pits. I've done it again. Now Senna's lost a second to Jax Daniels in the last lap or so. I've got a feeling we're going to see one of them come in this lap. I think Senna's probably going to be the first of them to come. As let's have a look. They're both in the final sector. There's another half a second being pulled as Daniel Morris sets another fastest lap of the session. Here we go. It's like Jax Daniels stays out, Senna comes in. Nicely done with the pit speed limiter. Now we've got to keep an eye on where the white dot is on the on your mini map in the bottom corner there. Smug gets a 3-second penalty. Now that white dot is rapidly approaching the final corner. He's going to have Sainsy to get DRS off here. Oh, this might be close. I think Senna should just stay ahead. Yep, we can just see the Williams pop into the screen at the bottom there. So that was a pretty decent overcut, if you will, from Senna. Obviously, this not really an overcut when they're on different strategies, but now we've got to see where is Jax Daniels. I believe that'll be him heading up towards the to the triple rights. He's got nearly 25 seconds of a lead, but bear in mind that is before pit stops. My stream seems to have frozen on my phone. There we go. Let's see, what does the Sauber do? He's going to stay out one more lap. Coleman gets a 3-second penalty now. Senna passes. Senna. I don't know what's happened to Project Ty there. I think they've run wide through the triple rights. Is that a puncture? Project Ty seems to have picked up a front left puncture. I don't know how. We're gonna. There we go. The Sauber coming into the pits there. That is very interesting. I don't think I've seen anyone ever pick up a puncture in this league before. And especially not in a 50% race, so that's something. Anyway, Jack Daniels staying out for one more lap. Now he's got to be careful because you look at the gap to Senna. There's going to be... There's about 26, yeah, 26, 27, yeah, 25.9 seconds. And I think Senna could come out in the lead here, whenever Jack Daniels pits. But the Williams is absolutely flying here. Now let's see what the Sauber does. Sauber is in, Jack Daniels is coming out to the pits boards. Leaving the slowdown as late as possible. Let's see where Senna is. He's put a car between him and Frosty, which is quite smart. No, it blocks Frosty, who's got the hotter, more kind of worn-in tyres. Blunt blade into the pits. Now, let's have a look. Where's Jack Daniels compared? Oh, it's going to be close as they come on the exit. I think Jack Daniels is... Oh no, Senna round the outside. Very well, very good move from the Williams driver, but you gotta think when Jack Daniels gets those mediums up to temperature, he's gonna have much newer tyres than both Senna and Frosty. Now, we've had our little three-way battle for the lead reunited here. Obviously, if the race stays as it is, Jack Daniels is going to take the win anyway due to the penalties of both Senna and Frosty. But, I mean, you got to fight for it anyway, I guess, you know. You can't guarantee you'll have the penalty gap at the end, so you might as well fight for it. And that's what he's going to do. He's got DRS. Senna moves to the inside to defend. It's not really going to do much because Jack Daniels is through and clear into turn 1. I'm just going to keep an eye on the party real quick just to make sure it doesn't go off. And he's already pulled a second. Daniel Morris gets another time penalty as well. Ooh. I literally just checked it, for fuck's sake. There we go. We've now got 10 laps to go in this one. Jack Daniels is absolutely clearing away from Senna. I doubt 2 laps difference on the tyres is going to make that much a difference, but who knows. Michael back onto a new set of soft tyres. Jack Daniels has got a purple sector according to my graph, a little map there. Now he's got to be careful. While he's pushing this hard, as he runs over the curb, he's still going to have a safe DRS distance. But he's got to be careful he's not picking up track limit warnings and doing this, because if he gets a penalty, he's on level playing field. A 23-3 from Jack Daniels now. But yeah, he's got to be careful. If he's with the track limits, if he gets a penalty, he's on level playing field with Senna and Frosty. And this is a Jack Daniels we've not seen for a while. No, I don't remember the last time. Let me just have a look into the results page real quick. He's only had one win this year, and that was Mexico. On this season, should I say. But looking at where Frosty and Senna are, I don't think it's going to be enough to keep the championship hopes alive. It was a good effort, if obviously never say never, and you know, the race isn't over just yet, but we're going off what we know now, as he has a bit of a slide through the triple rights. Now, Jack Daniels has to be really careful here. I'll just have a moment to check it. Incidents real quick. Let's have a look for Swiss flags. There's one track limits warning. 2. Yep, it's only 2. Only one more warning and Jack Daniels is going to be on level playing field. And with not many laps left, they've got to be really careful. Frosty has disappeared once again. The 3.2 seconds between Senna and Frosty. Frosty's not going to have much of a part to play in the final laps from the looks of things. Senna could still, if Jack Daniels is making a few mistakes. Easy Life now gets a penalty. So we've only got 3 drivers in the field who are unpenalised at the moment. Jack Daniels, King Kong and the other Kick Sauber and Project Thai. And Daniel Morris has come in for a set of soft tyres. And it looks like they might be at risk of being lapped here, looking at the pace the leaders have. It's a purple sector for Jack Daniels, but no new fastest lap to go with it. So, you know, we haven't really looked through the field or any battles going on. We're going to look at this battle for 9th real quick, just while the leaders have settled down a bit. Actually, it's a battle for 8th, I do apologise to Lord Coleman there. Coleman into the pits. Ty also coming in. Now, I'm a bit confused there for why they've come into the pits, but all might become clearer to me in a matter of moments. If there's damage, then I don't know. Anyway, we're going to look at Kessler and Sainsy here, as Jack Daniels finally gets the penalty. So it is level playing for the lead of this race. However, looking at the time gaps, I don't think Senna's going to be able to do much. There's 2.2. So unless Jack Daniels goes really conservative in terms of track limits and how much he's pushing for the next few laps, I don't see anyone challenging Jack Daniels. Centra Finley also coming in to get off some hard tyres. Onto mediums, which I think is a bit risky. I mean, surely you put some softs to maximise pace, but I'm not the drivers tonight. Anyway, we're going to look at this little battle here between Sainsy and Kessler. Sainsy's got the newer and the softer tyre with the medium compared to hard. I was looking at this little helicam view, and Easy Life in for some soft tyres as well. I have no clue what's going on with this race anymore. I know the tyres don't really last long here, but surely it's not bad enough to do 2-stop races for most of the field. Again, I'm just a commentator, what do I know? No, I'm not the one behind the wheel trying to figure out how do I get around this track without sliding or losing time. As Jack Downs has pulled a second out of centre as well, so as Finley also gets a track limits award, a penalty even, should I say. And at least well, I don't know as well, Project Ty got a penalty as well, so at least King Kong is the only unpenalised driver on the grid at the moment. Let's keep watching this battle with Sainsy and Kessler, because it seems it's the most entertaining, was the closest battle still left in the field from looks of things. Like, entertain was the wrong word to use there, but we'll move on from that. Look at Dan Morrison, Project Type. This is, I don't know where Jack Daniels is finding in this pace. He's pulling seconds out of centre a lap from what I've noticed. Dan Morris gets another track limits penalty now. So we'll swing back to the Sainsy Kessler battle just for a moment. As Sainsy has a little bit of a look into the final corner, but remembers he's got DRS down the start finish straight here. Let's have a go on board with the Red Bull driver, the only Red Bull in the field tonight. Gonna look towards the outside of the Williams. The kind of puts the Williams on an awkward line. Great run around the front as Dan Morris retires. And that is a VSC, I believe. I can't see. Considering I can't see a safety car icon, we are under VSC. Are we going to see Jax? I think it'd be too risky for Jax Daniels to box and... Nope. I'm not going to see any of the top three pit, I don't think. It's too late into the race, I think, for any drastic strategy decisions. So as we just wait for the word to go back to green flag racing. Kind of disrupted the battle here. Lord Coleman gets a drive-through for speeding under the VSC. It's just not been Lord Coleman's season, I don't think. No, we saw a bit of promise from him at the start of the season and even the end of last season, but it's just not come of anything recently. Hopefully the fortunes can turn around for the final 2 rounds in Abu Dhabi and Austria. Here we go, Sainsy. Have another opportunity as Coleman gets another 3-second time penalty as well to add on top of the drive-through. And that'll be Lord Coleman coming in to save the drive-through on the bottom of the screen there. And Sainsy is absolutely desperate to get through on Kessler. I mean, I'm not sure where Sainsy is in any of the points. Let me just get him up real quick. I mean, with his teammate not here tonight, he can move up a bit in the overall points. In Split. Again, I'm not sure where he's compared to his Split competitors, but probably gaining a good few points, maybe even keeping themselves within a shot of the championship in Pro-Am. But anyway, that was a yellow flag. It seems to be Michael's gone round. Let's go to Jax Daniels, who is... He could pick up another 3-second time penalty and he wouldn't have to worry about Senna at this rate. What an amazing pace the kick Sauber driver is putting in. Just unfortunately, kind of coming at the wrong time in terms of championship standings, you know. Was it 70 something points behind? They ideally needed some misfortune with Senna and Frosty, but you know, it's been a good season for Jax Daniels regardless of what has happened in the overall standings. As they start the final lap into turn 1. And it seems Castle and Sainsy still going at it. We'll just move down there quick. Sainsy looking here, there, everywhere to try and make the move. And we'll keep an eye on this until Jax Daniels is kind of basically at this point in the lap. Oh, Sainsy runs wide. Gained a bit of time, but he looked like he managed to not gain it at the same time. Bit over the curb as well, the penultimate corner. Now, let's keep an eye. He's got a very good exit off the final corner. On board with the Red Bull there. Looks to the inside this time. He's got the nose ahead. There's a bit of contact. There's still banging wheels. And has to kind of concede the position. But we're going to move back to the leader real quick. Jax Daniels comes round the final corner to take the Qatar Grand Prix by 5.1 seconds. Kessler gets another 3-second time penalty. Senna comes home second. And in a moment we're going to see Frosty as well come home third place. We're going to have to wait a while for Smugget to finish. There's 19 seconds between Frosty and Smugget. This is a good qualifying, and just having to kind of the strategy kind of didn't help, but maybe some traffic, who knows. Also, we were following the leaders for most of the way. Smugget crosses the line 4th. King Kong will come home 5th. Bluntblade just behind him, and Finley coming around the final corner 2. As Sainsy and Kessler still fighting away for 8th place. Looks like Kessler's just going to hold on. But obviously that'll be on track. We don't know where the time penalties will put them just yet. Sainsy will get the position on time from the looks of things. So we just gotta wait for Project Ty, Easy Life and Michael JFF to complete the race here. There comes Project Ty to round out the top 10. Easy Life and the Aston Martin, they're in 11th, and Michael just behind in 12th. Now I'm not sure what's going on here with the game. There we go. Oh, that's a unique view, I guess. I've never seen this before. So we're just waiting. There we go, finally we're onto the podium. As I said earlier, Jax Daniels' first win since Mexico earlier this season. And probably a well-needed win after the kind of last few results they have had. So we'll have a quick, well, never mind, the game started for me. I was going to try and skip through to the results screen to have a quick, oh, never mind, we're straight back to the lobby, I believe. Well, it's a good job I kind of had a mini results rundown as everyone was crossing the line. Excuse me. Well, with that, we are now down to 2 rounds to go. Yas Marina next week with the 100% format, and Spielberg in Austria to round out the season on Christmas week. Hopefully you can join us for both of those rounds. Yas Marina will be on the 15th of December next Monday, 8 PM UK time, same time as usual, and also Spielberg on the 22nd of December, Christmas week, again 8 PM as usual. Thank you all for watching this evening, and I shall see you all in Abu Dhabi next week. Good night everyone.